Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are unpacking something absolutely wild. We're going to see how a massive cross-border trade crisis, literally involving millions of tons of physical waste, actually birthed one of the most incredible AI data pivots we have ever seen. We are talking about taking chaotic, everyday construction trash and literally mathematically refining it into pure bankable digital assets. It's a real game changer, so let's get into it. All right, let's jump right in. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll start by looking at the border trash crisis, then move into tariffs and the capacity cliff. After that, we'll explore 905 Wood's Sentient Bridge, check out the Pixel 11 Pro Edge AI, dive into the Puro.Earth biocarbon market, and finally wrap up with why data is the true product. Okay, Section 1, the border trash crisis. Let's really ground ourselves in the physical reality of the Ontario-Michigan waste corridor. I want you to just picture the daily visual absurdity of this logistics network. Every single year, a staggering 3.46 million tons of municipal solid waste, or MSW, is shipped across the U.S. border. It rolls right over the Ambassador and Blue Water bridges from Ontario, Canada, directly into U.S.-Michigan landfills. To put that into perspective, those Canadian waste exports literally eat up 14.35% of all the waste disposed of in the entire state of Michigan. Now, you might be wondering, why on earth does this happen? Well, for decades, it's just been cheaper and easier to blindly export this material. Michigan has historically charged this incredibly low dumping fee of just 36 cents a ton. It basically acted like a giant economic magnet for out-of-state trash. But that escape valve is closing. To deter all this dumping, Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer proposed a massive hike, bringing that fee all the way up to $5 a ton. Talk about an overnight economic shockwave, right? Going from 36 cents to $5 is huge. Moving right along to Section 2, tariffs and the capacity cliff. This is where the era of cheap dumping officially ends. So that economic magnet of cheap dumping we just talked about, it is now on a total collision course with severe geopolitical friction. Just look at the sheer pressure squeezing this supply chain from three completely different directions. First off, you've got Washington. With the incoming Donald Trump administration, there's the invocation of massive cross-border tariffs. We're talking about a 50% duty hitting Canadian exports as early as August 2026, which perfectly coincides with those volatile USMCA or CUSMA trade reviews. Next up, locally, Ontario is rolling out a strict ban on landfilling clean wood by 2029. And finally, without that convenient U.S. border valve, domestic landfills in Ontario are facing a total capacity cliff. They will literally be exhausted by roughly 2034. So what does this all mean? Well, it leaves Ontario Premier Doug Ford's government, and frankly the entire waste industry, in absolute gridlock. Think about it. When you can't ship it across the border because of crippling tariffs, you can't cheaply bury it, and pretty soon you can't legally bury it at all, you are sitting on a bleeding financial liability. The old system is entirely broken. You desperately need a radical technological solution to upgrade this material before a truck even turns its key. Which brings us perfectly to Section 3, 905 Wood's Sentient Bridge. It's all about intercepting the problem at the source. Chaos in, purity out. I absolutely love this concept because it's the core ethos of the 905 Wood digital refinery. They looked at this massive cross-border flow of mixed liabilities and realized, hey, we have to intercept this at the source. The Sentient Bridge takes the complete chaos of a construction yard bin, and it uses pure math and AI to refine it into an undeniable, bankable digital material. Section 4, Pixel 11 Pro Edge. AI. This is where Silicon Valley hardware meets the dirt. Okay, this is for sure my favorite part of the explainer, because it shows how a roughly $1,000 smartphone can literally beat a massive international trade war. 905 Wood isn't using some clunky legacy server farm. No, they are deploying Silicon Valley-grade edge compute hardware right out into the field. They are operationalizing the Google Pixel 11 Pro handset. Driven by that incredibly powerful Tensor G6 chip and running on the Android 17 operating system, this hardware uses the ultra-efficient LiteRT AI stack. It runs advanced multimodal AI pipelines completely offline, right there in the mud. Let's actually walk through the 905 Wood digital refinery application workflow. It's an incredibly smooth UI/UX that happens instantly right on the device. Step 1, the operator literally just points the camera at a chaotic pile of wood, and the Edge AI conducts immediate visual analysis. Step 2,
The onboard AI instantly verifies the material against strict Ontario OREG 347 waste regulations. Step 3. It generates a real-time request for quote based on live market data. And Step 4. The system outputs an immutable certificate of origin and pristine PDF documentation features. It creates perfect, explainable compliance in seconds, before a single truck even moves. So, the crucial point here is the massive paradigm shift. On the left, you start with a physical liability, chaotic municipal solid waste that is subject to crushing 50% border tariffs. But you run it through the Sentient Bridge, and on the right, it becomes a high-purity digital asset. It's fully compliant with HS 38250 trade codes, meaning it is completely legally shielded from those exact same tariffs. It's brilliant.
On to Section 5, the Puro.Earth biocarbon market. Let's talk about where this value actually goes. So you might be asking, where does this newly verified asset actually end up? Well, it all comes down to DMRV. That stands for Digital Measurement, Reporting, and Verification. Basically, it's the process of creating undeniable, bankable proof of exactly where a material came from and exactly how pure it is. And this is exactly what that smartphone AI is generating. It creates a cryptographic signature that banks, regulators, and insurers implicitly trust. And they really need that undeniable trust because they are feeding the document library of the Puro.Earth registry. Now, this isn't just your average market. This is the world's strictest engineered carbon removal standard. You literally have to prove that carbon will be locked away for anywhere from 100 to 1,000 plus years. That requires incredibly strict transparency and super high purity feedstocks. When you meet these rigorous rules, the registry issues fully retained CO2 removal certificates or CORCs. Because 905 Wood's DMRV data perfectly satisfies these strict requirements, they safely unlock construction debris for biochar kilns. And honestly, that is something almost no one else can do. And get this, the financial result is staggering. By guaranteeing clean feedstocks through their Edge AI, they yield roughly $2,674 in pure carbon dividends per load. That is serious high-end environmental asset value created entirely from what was, just moments before, considered chaotic construction trash heading straight to a landfill. Mind-blowing, right? And finally, Section 6. Data is the true product. Let's look at NAISC code 51. Now, what's really fascinating about this slide is looking at their official commercial classification. Under NAICS code 51, 905 Wood is not classified as a garbage company or a waste hauler. They are officially an information and cultural industries company. By operationalizing the Google Pixel 11 Pro and that light art AI stack, 905 Wood's value shifts entirely to the DMRV and provenance data cut. They are effectively a SaaS application service. They just happen to use logistics and wood to generate their high-value data. I think this quote just hits the nail on the head. The wood is just the vehicle. The data is the product. Let's reinforce that. The data, not just the wood, is what actually intercepts the waste. The data is what beats the Washington tariffs. The data avoids the Ontario capacity cliff. And ultimately, this SaaS application service is exactly what secures Ontario's industrial leadership in the Canadian circular bioeconomy. I want to leave you with this final provocative thought today. We've just seen how operationalizing a regular smartphone can completely dematerialize a physical trade liability into a premium digital asset. So, if AI can turn chaotic border trash into premium unfakeable data, what other discarded resources around us are just waiting to be mathematically refined? The whole concept of what we consider waste is literally being redefined right in front of us. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and as always, keep questioning how the systems around you really work.